What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, let's talk about some James Kirkland. And if you follow my channel for a minute, you'll know that I'm very consistent with certain messages. And one of them is when a fighter shows me bad habits and or patterns that I do not like, do not understand, can't respect, things of that nature, then it's kind of their burden to remove those doubts by reversing that behavior or changing those patterns. For example, Victor Ortiz, in my opinion, has showed the ability to get frustrated and or quit in his fights. So it's very hard for me, like if Victor Ortiz was fighting Earl Spence Jr., that could be a good fight because Earl Spence Jr. hasn't faced a premier name, but it'd be very hard for me to pick a guy like Victor Ortiz based on consistency and the patterns that Victor Ortiz has showed me with headbutting Floyd or rabbit punching Josecito Lopez out of frustration, quitting in the Maidana fight, quitting in the fight with Josecito Lopez. It's just too much of the same behavior. So I would never pick Victor Ortiz to upset a prospect who showed me consistency like Earl Spence Jr. And in that same vein comes James Kirkland. Now, as a fighter, style-wise, I like James Kirkland. He comes to scrap, and he has an exciting style. But mentally, I've said this time and time again, watch my old James Kirkland videos, the dude just is not stable. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they were talking about making a fight with James Kirkland. HBO's trying to finish their calendar, and in December, they're going to make a fight with James Kirkland versus Gabe Rosado as the main event of Boxing After Dark. You know what I mean? Just they're basically HBO's looking for a low level fight. And what I mean by low level is Triple G Lemieux's pay-per-view. You got Canelo Cotto, which is pay-per-view. That's taking up a lot of their budget. So they're looking for a fight that's good for the fans that they could put on for a certain amount of money, not like a blockbuster. You know what I mean? Just something they could, something that's going to get good ratings that's not going to cost because you have two major stars like Canelo and Cotto, something like that. So they were talking about Kirkland-Rosado. Now, for my real boxing heads, this was supposed to be on the Bernard Hopkins versus Sergey Kovalev last year. It was supposed to be an undercard fight. And guess what? James Kirkland pulled out of that fight. And he never fought Rosado. And then I believe they replaced it with Saddam Ali and Luis Carlos Abregu, right? So they're talking about remaking this fight. Now, SMS Promotions was going to do a deal with Golden Boy and make this fight with James Kirkland. And I guess the terms were negotiated. And out of nowhere, James Kirkland requests more money. Now, I guess HBO's like, fuck that. We're not dealing with this. And the fight, they're talking about not making it now because Kirkland is being finicky. And I really don't understand it, man. Like, I understand, trust me, I have a lot of friends that are fighters and you know what I mean, talk to trainers and stuff like that. This is a brutal sport, brutal business. So I definitely believe in like what Al Heyman's doing. I respect that, giving the fighters money and putting it in their pockets because this is a brutal sport, brutal game, and people lose their life in this sport. So I get that. But just these tactics, Kirkland, he does it too much. Like back in the day, they used to do this. Like Sugar Ray Robinson is notorious for this. He would have a fight that was on. People were like spectators or expecting to see it. And then last minute before the fight, he would be like, I want more money or I'm not fighting. That's cool. And I'm sure back in those days, Ray Robinson was a star and probably had to do some of those things to get fair treatment. You know what I mean? There's segregation and racism, just different things. Plus, he was a star. James Kirkland, he's known, but he's coming off of a brutal stoppage loss at the hands of Canelo Alvarez. So, in my opinion, Kirkland is not really in the position where he can dictate terms and pull rank and be like, no, I want more money. So I just don't understand this move from James Kirkland. I don't understand a lot of things about Kirkland. Another thing I don't understand is James Kirkland, he always leaves Ann Wolfe randomly, which seems to be the best fit for him. I fuck with Ann Wolfe. If you ever see, just type in YouTube, Ann Wolfe versus Vonda Ward. That's all you'll need to see. She's a former fighter. She's no nonsense, brutal training. She's known for these tactics, right? And I like Ann Wolf. Like, even her corner voice. She's like, fuck that. This your destiny, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? She just talks like she's from the hood. Like, she talks how she feels. She's very passionate, right? And for whatever reason, Kirkland leaves her, and then he loses to a non-puncher in Ishida and makes him a star pretty much. You know what I mean? Or at least for the moment. Just stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, Kirkland gets back with Ann Wolf. Same thing with Canelo. Canelo spins him around, knocks him out, and brutally beats him up after a little bit of success in round one, but then he got knocked down. So pretty much Canelo won every round, and then now he's back with Ann Wolf. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why do you take losses and then get back with Ann Wolf? Why'd you leave her in the first place? And if you watch the Canelo Kirkland 24/7, Ann Wolf says she never even got a phone call. She don't even know why he didn't pick her up after the Glenn Tapia performance where Kirkland looked good. You know what I'm saying? He weathered the storm with Tapia. Tapia was undefeated at the time. And then he ended up stopping Glenn Tapia. So coming off of that in a like maybe a year and a half layoff, but that was your last performance, why did you drop Ann Wolf randomly? You know what I'm saying? So some people you'll just never understand. I think Zab Judah, some things with Broner, Victor Ortiz, James Kirkland, all these guys, man. Like, I just don't understand their motives and their mentality. I think even though Rosado and Kirkland both have had their fair share of losses recently and things like that, well, Kirkland, he hasn't had that many losses, but his last fight was a brutal loss. Rosado has had a bunch of losses, Triple G, Lemieux, Charlo brother, etc. But I was still ready to entertain this fight because I think it's a, you know what I mean, both guys are warriors, both guys come to fight, and I think it's a good solid December closing of the year boxing after dark type of card. But it looks like James Kirkland has other plans and now he's getting nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand wanting more money, but now you're potentially getting no money. That's how people get blackballed in their industry. I've heard this happen to actors. I heard Wesley Snipes is really hard to deal with. Jean-Claude Van Damme, like, I guess Universal Pictures, I believe, they were trying to offer him a ton of money after the success of like Sudden Death and Time Cop, and he wanted more money, and then they eventually, you know what I'm saying, these companies, they're like, fuck that, never mind, we'll just find another star. And then that's when Van Damme fell off and started doing a bunch of direct to DVD movies, you know what I'm saying? So these windows of opportunity aren't always going to be there, especially with big companies like HBO, because there are other stars that they could pursue, you know what I'm saying? And to me, James Kirkland, he's a fun fighter, but he's not the end all be all, you know what I'm saying, where, oh, if we don't get Kirkland on the main event, we're screwed. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other people that they can put up for their main event. Let me know what you guys think of James Kirkland. Who should he fight next? What do you think of his SMS Promotions deal and how he's being managed? Drop that in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.